What the fuck? Berkeley?
Are you ready for the girthening?
No, no, wait! Growing up in the early 2000s was a pretty interesting time. A lot of weird products and commercials were released. Kind of like this. Around this time is also when one of the greatest consoles was released, the Nintendo DS. I don't know about you, but I brought this thing everywhere I went. It had an amazing library of games, it was portable, and it had 2 screens, so I could burn my eyes out twice as fast.
Nintendo DSi camera. You can play with visual.
Now, the reason I bring up this beauty of a console is because in recent years, I've been seeing a lot of indie games use these old portable consoles as a gameplay mechanic. One of these games being called the Dead Seat. Now, I'm picking this one over others because I found out that the game was made in just a day, basically. At least the first version of it was. And I thought that was very interesting. So let's talk about the game, the story, the mechanics, and all that shit. And, yeah. I don't know why this thing has a gun.
The current route is no longer available. Alternate route found. Turn left.
Our story starts with a GPS giving instructions, and we find out that we are a child in the backseat of a car. In front of us, we see our parents, and our mom talks about not knowing the route that we're taking. She also gets blatantly ignored by the father because he's too busy looksmaxing. Our character, who we find out is named Caleb, tells his mom that he's hungry, and after being blatantly ignored and kinda yelled at by his mom, she tells him to just play his game to pass the time. This is when we're introduced to the main mechanic of the Dead Seat, the Game Kit, a Nintendo DS-like console that will be used throughout the entirety of the game. Alright, let's check out these specs. So we got a 3.25-inch screen, 12 hours of battery life, and a warning that says may have a chance to become sentient? What the fuck does that even mean? Opening the console starts a game that perfectly describes Caleb's current situation. The game also describes a happy cave full of brand new friends and family and freedom. So the console's probably from America. Like most AAA games, we finally get into actual gameplay after a long series of cutscenes. And gameplay consists of 2 sections. One where we're walking around in a Link's Awakening type level, searching for equipment and entire rotisserie chickens for some reason. The second part of gameplay has us controlling the actual car with our DS, and we have to move left and right to avoid obstacles while also collecting these gas canisters. There's a gauge at the top left of the screen that tells us how many more we need to beat the level. After collecting our first couple gas canisters, we hear a strange noise from the top of the car, and our DS actually tells us that there is something there. The DS also tells us to use our camera against it because I guess it's very photogenic. Aww. Now, the camera's not the only item in the game. There are others that allow you to play more of a defensive role, but the camera's the only one that lets you directly attack the monster. The monster that attacks us is also referred to as Caleb's demon, and we get into more of why that is in the next level. After beating the first level, we snap back to reality, and our father actually asks us something. Out of all the questions the father could be asking right now, he just asks us to turn down our game, and this ends up starting a confrontation with the mother where they just start arguing about putting grandma in a nursing home. This argument is actually kind of insane because their dialogue just piles on top of each other at a certain point. This argument also causes Caleb's demon to appear, and we learn it's kind of a manifestation of his parents. He doesn't like that they're fighting, and he just wants it to stop. This is also when we get a whole monologue from the demon, and they say this.
Fighting again.
Always fighting. Always fighting.
It's in their nature. belong together. Oil in water.
Look at the boy. He wants to get away. He thinks the cave is real.
Maybe it is. Who are we to judge? The boy just wants the fighting to stop. The boys don't run away.
After the demon's monologue, we open our game kit again, and like before, it describes the situation Caleb is in perfectly. And it also mentions the happy cave once again. This time, instead of just mentioning the happy cave, it also tells him that it's going to help him reach it. Like before, we go into a 2D map portion where we have to run around and get supplies, but this time it's more of stuff that can help us defend against the monster. These supplies can range from a couple different things, from cans of soda, barricades, and bear traps. Well, that's going to leave a mark. The last two are completely for defense and will basically stop the monster from getting into the car. Now, level 2 is essentially just level 1, but you actually have like barricades and stuff to use. Level 3 and level 4 are where a new mechanic gets introduced, the Lanky Man. The Lanky Man is actually just the demon, but instead of being outside, it's actually in our DS, and in the 2D portions where we're walking around, it tries to follow us and catch us. The demon also, for some reason, has a weird, like, spider appearance, and will, crawl around. The demon will also appear in the driving portions, and it will come down from the top of the screen, and we have to close our game kit and turn the car ourselves. So we just merge without looking. As for the story, we learn that the GPS they are using is acting a little weird, and even the mom has a bad feeling about it, saying that there is an unshakable sense of impending doom. Caleb also chimes in, but he just tells his parents that he's starving. Also, after we beat level 3, our GPS starts talking to us directly, and it says this.
Where will you go, Caleb? Your game is nothing but a game. You can't ignore your problems. This is the family you get. In 2 miles, turn right.
After this, the parents disappear from the car, and the car seems to just be driving itself. At the beginning of the next level, our game actually talks to us and says,
"Isn't the peace and quiet so lovely? You are so close to the happy cave. You only need to survive your demon. I am not like the others, child. I am not being paid enough for this, Logan."
The level plays out exactly how the previous one did, and then we get to the final level. This time, the only dialogue we get is the GPS telling us to turn right, and our DS telling us that the turn is wrong and we must go left instead. And then we won't be in the dead seat anymore. After getting more supplies and returning to the car, our demon shows itself again and says this.
The boy is still afraid.
Can you blame him? Look at him. Poison is formed.
We look at it, but the boy must stay.
The boy must stay.
The boy must stay.
It is then when we get the first ending of the game. Opening our game kit, it tells us that we are close to the cave, and it reassures Caleb that he will be okay, and that there's a bunch of awesome and cool Fortnite gamer swag waiting for him on the other side. Caleb takes the wheel, and as he does this, the demon gets hit, and now is on the front of the car screaming. The car then crashes with Caleb being the only survivor with his legs supposedly broken. Days pass, and Caleb, like before, is still insanely hungry. This is when we get a choice. Who is first? And ultimately, it doesn't really matter who you pick. Caleb will devour both of his parents to survive, and he literally has no regrets about it. After he regains his strength, the game kid sitting on the center console tells him to come on out. And when we walk through the forest, there are animals that are singing a song that says, "Good boy, he is here, and you are safe," repeatedly in a very creepy tone.
Good boy.
We reach the cave, and we find a giant face with big ol' hands that grabs Caleb. And that's the end of the game, at least the first part. You see, the Dead Seat actually has two modes, normal and hard, with hard being a continuation of the story. And while the gameplay doesn't really change much, it does give us a little bit more context into what is going on and what ends up happening with Caleb. Now, hard mode is not that much different than normal mode. Gameplay-wise, it's pretty much the same thing, besides a couple different changes, which I will get into when we get to those certain levels. But other than that, story is pretty much the name of the game right now. And speaking of story, we actually get a new type of cutscene that is a book that basically describes and tells us about the luring voice. The first page actually tells a warning to children about the luring voice, saying that it sinks into the imagination of every runaway child, and that the goal of the voice is to grow a family that will become his choir. After this cutscene, we are back in the Dead Seat, and we somehow have our parents with us again. And everything seems pretty normal until we open our game kit again. This time, level 1 plays exactly how it did before, but it talks about leaving Carister Valley and how there's no point even trying. The car stops and we get our regularly scheduled 2D map section, and everything is pretty much the same. Just grab supplies, try not to get caught by the demon, and pretty much the only difference to these 2D map sections is the tone is a little darker with the level palette, and also for some reason the rotisserie chickens are now dead children, which my guess is they are children that were brought into the Happy Cave. After we collect our plywood and Dr. Pepper, we get back to the first driving section of hard mode. And this is when we realize that something is genuinely wrong. Our parents are now turned around with like glowing eyes and mouths, and they say this.
What are you still doing here? Why are you back?
You killed us.
We hate you.
You don't get to go back now. The car is gone.
It's obvious that Caleb is having some regrets. I mean, who wouldn't when you basically killed your parents? And in the spirit of that, his demon also appears and says this to him.
Even now, the boy still fears us.
Why? The fighting has ended. We should be gone now.
Save your breath. Don't go to waste. He's in denial.
He expects to be haunted. A lesson must be learned.
A lesson must be taught.
These couple confrontations with not only his parents but with his demon also cause his parents to disappear from the car again. And now the car has a red glow to it, which will make the next mechanic that we go over pretty hard if you're like me and have really bad eyes. The driving sections also get a couple changes in hard mode. The first one being that when we hit stuff with our car, the gas gauge goes down. And also the monster is on crack, but it's nothing we can't really deal with. It's pretty much the same gameplay. After beating level 1, we get another page of the book, and this time it's a little more information about the luring voice himself. The book talks about how he seeks kids who are feeling alone and broken, and basically says that if they obey him, they get a nice new pad in the corner of his cave. Also, before loading into level 2, we meet a new character named Amy. Amy is just another kid that found the Happy Cave like Caleb, And also, like Caleb, her parents argued a lot and she wanted to get away. So she followed the voice to the cave. She also mentions that there are other kids, which I think we could kind of figure out who those are. We then get into level 2 and, same shit. Go in, get your stuff, get out. And we get to the driving section and there's one last change, and that's the demon can now have red eyes. If the demon has red eyes while it's looking at you, then you can't flash it with your camera. If you do, it can instantly just attack you. So you kind of just have to have a staring contest with it.
Better not be recording me right now, I swear to God.
Until it goes away. That's pretty much it for gameplay until we get to the final level, but even then, it doesn't change that much. So let's just go over the story beats for the next couple levels, and then we can talk about the final level and the ending. In level 3, we actually get 2 book pages. One of them talks about how the entity lives between 2 worlds, physical and mental. So he's just your average crackhead. And the other page talks about how the luring voice is just a real stand-up guy. That he donates to charity, protects children, he goes into their minds, fills their head with sin, all that. So yeah, he's a pretty stand-up guy. Amy also shows up again, and she's confused as to why Caleb keeps looking around randomly. She apparently doesn't see what Caleb is seeing, and is just confused about what monsters he's talking about. In level 3, we also get to learn where Caleb actually is. And you probably guessed it, he's in the Happy Cave, yay! Yay, oh my god, yeah, he's in the Happy Cave. Oh my, dude, I didn't see it coming. I really didn't see it coming, this is crazy. We actually get to see what is inside the cave, and it's pretty much what you would expect a giant head's home to look like. In front of us, we see a deep, dark danger hallway with a bunch of random chairs lying around. And to our right, we see some toys, a chest, and more chairs. So pretty much normal stuff for a cave. To our left, we see Amy, supposedly strapped to a chair, or not. You can't really tell because it's dark. But either way, Caleb and Amy are trapped in the Happy Cave. Level 4 gives us another book page that talks about a strange stone that can be found when a child abandons doubt. Apparently this stone can also be used to take care of the luring voice. And we also get the final dialogue from the demon.
Poor boy.
We did warn him. We told him to stay in his seat. In return, he killed us.
He was scared. Now the boy mourns. But let's not fight. He's heard enough fighting.
Yes. What's been done is done.
Haunt yourself no longer.
The strange thing about this dialogue is it almost sounds like the demons are trying to comfort him, and they want him to move on in some way. The final level has us facing Andros from Star Fox, and this time during the 2D sections, we have a giant pair of hands that follow us around. Other than these freaky hands, nothing else new happens, and we get back to the car for our final interaction with Amy. Amy talks about feeling different and becoming nature, like the luring voice told her she would. She then tells Caleb to look at her, and yeah, she looks like nature, I guess. I don't know, that's really, yeah, high five. Whatever the luring voice gave her, killed her, supposedly. And now it's Caleb's turn to eat his supper. We see the luring voice standing at the end of the cave, holding an apple. And Caleb, before he's able to even get attacked by the luring voice, he goes back to a memory of when he was with his parents before any of the darkness or the infinite road or the arguing. And he remembers the good and the love he felt from his parents, and that kind of pushes him forward. As Caleb wakes up, we have a final confrontation with the luring voice. It's essentially like all of the other levels, but with a new skin. And the only difference to this one is the motherfucker decides, hey, I'm gonna take all the doors off the car. Now you've gotta be kidding me. The final ending of the game gives us another page in the book, and it tells us to convince him to get the Great Guiding Stone. With it in your hands, he will finally let you home, blah blah blah, Transformers 1, Big Ag Cube, the MacGuffin. You know, our game kid is the stone. A 2D section gets loaded up and we walk through a glitchy woods to find a spinning model of our game kid. After collecting it, the head shows up again and tries to attack Caleb, but before he can do anything, Caleb traps him within the game kid. We then walk out of the cave both in our game kid and in real life, with the luring voice pleading for Caleb to stay. We also run into Amy again, who is now a deer and is living her best life. We also get a new song from all the animals in the woods, telling Caleb to be free. Caleb then walks up to a rock, and while the luring voice begs for his life, Caleb smashes his DS, and the game ends, showing all the children turned animals, along with the countless chairs that were labeled by year, showing the amount of victims taken by this big-ass head. What a stupid guy, why would he do that? Now, while this game is very short and simple, I still think it's really cool. Like I said before, the original concept for this game was made in just a day. And comparing that to the final product, it's crazy how much they were able to do in such a short amount of time. Originally, the camera wasn't even actually a camera, it was a flashlight, and the monster looked like whatever the fuck this is supposed to be. I don't know. If you're interested, the team that made the Dead Seat is called Curious Fox Socks, and right now they're working on a game called Feed the Pit, and I recommend checking out their devlogs if you're interested in game development stuff, and also buy the game. Only a couple bucks. Apparently it's getting a VR mode soon, which would be kind of fun to revisit. That's pretty much all I have for today, and before I go on telling you what I'm going to cover next, I completely forgot that I got into an Uber without saying hi to the driver, so let's say hi to him real quick, and I'll tell you what my next video is going to be. Hey man, how's it going? My name's Logan.
I can't even reach the wheel.